So we just had our full moon in Scorpio that peaked on November 19th, and I wanted to just share a really brief continuation, if you will, of an analogy that I feel like I've talked about on here before, or maybe talked about in other spaces, but nonetheless, I wanted to hop on real quick and just talk about the analogy of frozen water and how I'm pretty sure I did post a video. We worked with our grand water trine, and still coming off of that energy and this energy of the Scorpio new moon. So all this space that we've been clearing, and that we're going to begin to consciously pull in more light into this area of life that Scorpio is speaking towards, individually and collectively. But I just thought it was really interesting because last night I was having like conversations with Josh. Josh is my partner, if you don't know, and I did a little ritual for myself, and I'm like, it kind of took a minute to get from very abstract to practical, and I want this to be digestible. So basically, the whole dialogue between me and Josh was that I was thinking of one of the cards that I pulled. It was the moon card from the Spirit Song Tarot, and one of the parts in the card specifically says emotions will also shape the perception of any situation. And when I read that, I was like, oh, it took me back to water. And just thinking, water being a symbolism for our emotions. And it was making me think of like, sometimes all of the emotions that we go through, it's like trying to view specific situations through these frozen waters that might be cloudy, or maybe there's different shapes that kind of don't give us clear perception. And maybe we get stuck within this space of illusion, which the moon card can speak to sometimes. And because of that illusion, we're not able to actually perceive what's present in front of us right now, because we're still being influenced by the past or by a potential future, but we can't even clearly see that future because the past is still, for lack of better words, blinding us to some degree. So I just thought it was really interesting. And Josh mentioned to me that the cloudiness in the water can take place because of air bubbles being trapped in the water when it's getting frozen. And then also, too, I do believe that there is like minerals and different other components too that can play a part for like the opaqueness, hopefully I think that's the word, the opaqueness that can take place within the frozen water. So anyways, I just thought all of that was really interesting, and I wanted to share that because at this time, as we're continuing to move through our Mercury retrograde, which Mercury will be stationing direct on November 29th. And if I'm not mistaken, Saturn is stationing direct within Pisces on November 27th. And I didn't say, but Mercury in Scorpio stationing direct. So we're having these deeper integrations that will begin to start to take place next week as these two planets station direct, because we've already been in this reflective, refining, and taking this time to also get really focused, to look more closely, more deeply at a specific area of our life, and to acknowledge where we're still getting trapped within illusions. And I think that honestly, I feel like the moon itself speaks to that, but I'm feeling intuitively that it is also like Neptune having its retrograde in Pisces. And I do think that this visual of frozen water, I don't think it's only on an individual level of which we're trying to view the present moment through, but it's kind of distorting it. I think it's very much on this collective level of things per just our human collective that has been held within the past that is still sadly influencing our present moment now, because there isn't proper channels that are available to allow these waters to thaw and go back to this collective consciousness in a way to where it can reshape and reform. So yeah, I just wanted to share that though, and to give a few of my little notes that I wrote down in case if this message is speaking to you or resonating with you. So during this time, especially as we're moving from the autumn season into winter, if you're in the northern hemisphere, and then of course, if you are in the southern hemisphere, I'm so sorry my brain's not working at this exact moment, but please do adjust to your seasons. But right now, this essence that we're being given is allowing, how do I want to say this? Inviting ourselves to find the courage and the awareness to let ourselves move forward, like to just find a way to move forward, even if it's not perfect, and allowing ourselves to overcome obstacles and honoring like the moment we overcome those obstacles so we can actually honor our own agency and our own strength and our own courage, and then having that be supportive remembrance of like how we can also move through fears, so that as we're moving through this time and maybe we're continuing to flow through this space of discomfort, that we can allow ourselves to also see through illusions that are still that we're still being kind of a little blinded by, because I do feel like all of those energies within the water signs that we've been moving through, that it has been allowing us to kind of reattune our intuition, and to reattune to how we receive the information from our intuition. So, on these more subtle levels, and how we work with our mind to process that intuitive information as well. And just knowing that if we're taking this perspective that, emotions are the lenses, or the lens or the lenses that we see through, that the traps that are getting, how do I want to say, so sorry, so the thoughts that are getting trapped within those emotions are those belief patterns, those structures, that air that's stuck within the center of the frozen water that we're being asked to provide heat to. So those limiting beliefs, those patterns, those habits, those instincts that no longer serve us can be released. And because when we think of just in astrology, the more challenging aspects like squares or oppositions, or even thinking of our malefics of Mars and Saturn, there's a heat, there's a pressure, there's a limitation that comes with these energies. There's friction. And because of that, that provides heat for thawing. So I do think that allowing ourselves to honor all of the discomfort, the challenge, the adversity that we're moving through during this period of our lives, if that is something that you are moving through, remembering that this is taking us into a space where we're allowing for flow again within our emotional body and within our mental body. So we're allowing for truly processing and allowing for our emotions to be regulated again, to allow our nervous system to be regulated, to invite in more groundedness in our body, and to also be more grounded within our present experience so that we can not be continuously trapped within like this fun house of illusions that are kind of just scaring us. Like, I don't know why, just thinking of going through fun houses in the little fairs that would have like, yeah, just like weird, creepy things in them sometimes. But nonetheless, I digress. So just remembering that if you have clouded judgment, or if you don't know what to do at this present time, this season, that allowing for connection with your emotions and allowing that to be what gives you information, and allowing those emotions to invite you back into flow, so then you can see through these clearer waters and invite in a fresh perspective. Because I think that's another thing too, that we are being invited to, like, it's that whole concept. I forget like who the quote's by, but the concept of like, we can't keep doing the same thing and just expecting a different result. And in order for some of the changes that potentially one is desiring on a deeper level requires taking a little bit more of a bigger risk, and even maybe inviting in a little bit bigger of a deeper challenge to invite in growth and shedding and expansion as well. Yeah. So I think that's all from my notes. The last thing was just, I say my notes, but this is my journal. But the last thing was just coming back to center and igniting the flame. And yeah, again, I think we kind of already spoke about that with the fire, but I just wanted to share this. So I do hope that you do set some type of intentions for this new moon, or work with it in some way that feels most nourishing to you, to your body, to your mind, to your spirit, to your soul. And just remembering that, that we're still in this period where we get to really look at whatever area of life the Saturn retrograde in Pisces has been speaking to, and the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio and Sagittarius has been speaking to, among other things, but just focusing on those two for now. So really honoring like what information has come through, where have your boundaries been called to adjust, where has there been deeper awareness of fears, and thinking of how can you, like, what are your resources too? Because Uranus retrograde too, right? Now back into Taurus. But yeah, thinking of the resources that you have available to you right now to support with moving through these energies. So be it specific practices, be it with connecting with the nature spirits, or connecting with a fellow human being, and or whatever it may be. So just allowing for any opportunity to invite in processing and clearing within the emotional body in whatever way feels most safe and supportive to you. So with all of that being said, as always, if you're ever seeking some one-on-one support on your journey, I do offer one-on-one astrology readings through my astrology alchemy sessions, and then I do offer one-on-one integrative healing sessions as well, where that includes breath work, Reiki, and sound healing. So if that's ever something you would like to experience, you can find all that information down below in the description. And also, if you just want to say hi, I do love that. So hello. And thank you so much if you do continue to watch these little videos that I do post. And of course, if you are new, thank you for making it until the end. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.